I started praying in Brooklyn because bullets were whistling past my ear and friends were getting their brains blown out right next to me. The toughest guys. And, I faced mortality. I faced the frailty of human existence. And I was like, man, if the toughest guy that I know just got his brains blown out, he had his ratchet on him, that's what you call weapons. You're taking me back to my young Shyne. Then what am I going to do? How am I going to survive this? And so religion in my life had nothing to do with Bad Boy. I was always spiritual. I prayed my way out of Brooklyn to getting, a multi-million-dollar record deal. That was all prayers. Like, I started praying before I got shot. I kept praying after I got shot. I prayed my way to getting a record deal. Like, I'd always had a divine connection. And notwithstanding that divine connection, there did come a point when I signed my deal to be an 18-year-old kid and get $1 million, more than that, 1.5, 2 million, just $1 million. Be 18 years old and go from having nothing. I remember we were so poor, there's a sweet milk called condensed milk.
Mm-hmm.
I used to put it on the bread.
Mm-hmm.
And used to put sugar in water.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you facts, right?
Right.
I never had my own bedroom. My bedroom was the living room. I slept on the couch. And so when company would come over, I had to, fold up my sheet and my pillow and put it in the closet. So I never even was able, my friends couldn't come over, we couldn't play video games, nothing. That's how I grew up. So to go from that to being a millionaire, that was a lot.
Mm.
So, and that's how I got the name Poe. Rollo will tell you, because Rollo and Wop, they used to hang out with Alpo. And I had that bravado, that swag, because I came from nothing. Like, nobody believed. People told me, oh, you're not going to make it. Even my mom's, you heard her in the documentary. She's
go
like,
to college.
Go to college. Yeah, she was like, what do you, she started crying when I told her I was dropping out of New York Tech. Respect to New York Tech in Brooklyn. She started crying, like, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? And so despite all that, despite my pops not being there in my early years, despite, harsh poverty, I became a millionaire, right? Because I did that. Nobody felt sorry for me. I stopped the guy in the barbershop and started spitting for him.
Right.
I started spitting for my barber every time I go there. I manifested that. I wanted that, and I worked for that, and I went for it, no matter what anybody said, right? And then I got that meal ticket, and that was it. I bought the 600 sedan. I, bought the Rove, the Double R, bought the Platinum AP. You could ask Jacob about me. I'm the first rapper to get a Audemars Piguet. People didn't even know what that was. I had I don't even think it was platinum. I think it was titanium.
The watch was a thing. I remember the watch was a big thing.
AP, and I had the platinum Rolex, and everything. Like that was the kit. That was the starter kit. But I had to go further. I had to get the AP.
Right.
And so it was a lot. So yeah, I had my ego was oversized. But I think most rappers, that's rap.
So that line you said, I should have copped the 5 instead of the 6.
Yeah,
that was a real situation.
Absolutely,
to have.
because that V12 is nothing to play with, man. If you can, So there was a time of oversized ego, inflated esteem, which is hip hop. So it's a balance, But what I learned is keep that on the record, keep that conviction, and keep that swag on the record.
How did you learn that?
How did I learn that? So. The entire 98, I spent the entire 98 young, dumb, and full of. So I was living my best life. I was dating the pop superstars. One of my friends, she had the biggest album and song that year. She was that person. And so we got into an argument because I was so gone. Like, I was dating Diddy girls. Like, you know, like one of his main chicks.
Knowing it was his chick or not knowing?
No, that's just, yeah.
Oh.
No, but listen,
Man,
he,
that's
you
a
know.
special thing going on over there.
No, listen.
That could play a part, Shyne.
No, he said, you know, the world is filled with, you know, that was the song that he,
Right.
B.I.G. You know, he chose me. Like, that ain't my fault. You have that conversation with her.
Right.
You have that conversation with her, but that's how gone I was because strategically that was a bad move.
Right.
Because you don't date the boss's girl.
Right.
Absolutely not.
You know, because you're there to get money with the boss, and you know, let's get money together, and you know, and I wasn't even quiet about it. Like I was like, yeah.
Wow. You think he kept some animosity for you?
No, he never said nothing. But you know, you could feel it.
Right.
But me and him wasn't really interacting like that.
Right.
Because I was in my own world. I thought I was the boss.
Right.
I thought I had $1 million. He had like 40 million. But I thought I was the boss.
What about this
Because
situation?
my million was like 40 to me based on what I came from.
Right.
So that's where I was at. Just to give you context of where I was at. So the end of the year is like the end of the year. And I have an argument with this one of the most famous, you know, musicians, females. I get into an argument with her. And she's like, you ain't nobody. Like, who are you? Like, I shouldn't even be talking to you. Like, you ain't sell one record. Like, what are you doing? You think blah, blah. And it was like the hand of God just slapped the life out of me. Yeah. Because she was telling the truth, right? She was telling the truth. So all my karma, you know, that was my karmic moment. Wow. And I needed that, and I thank her for that. I really appreciate her for that because that changed my life. Because it hit me, and it woke me up.
Was that the end of your relationship?
Kind of. You know, we cool now. Like when I see her out, you know, we'll hug each other, and you know, we'll be in touch. But
Who was it?
You'll see in the documentary.
I saw it.
You saw it? Okay. All right.
I mean,
Let him watch the documentary. Let him watch the documentary.
Dude,
Why you do that?
God.
you saw it. Cut it out.
And I ain't say nothing.
Right.
But that's the
But
point.
listen, anyway, so that changed my life because there was nothing I could say, right? Because, you know, she had her own money. She had her own millions. She was famous and sold millions of records and, you know, TV shows and movies and everything. And then I'm like, yo, you right? I didn't tell her that. I was like, whatever, click. But I was like, yo, she's right. Like, what am I doing?
Right.
And then a part of my introspection was like, it was ego driven as well, because like I gotta show her. She ain't never gonna talk to me like that. I'm gonna sell my million records, and you know, I'm gonna do everything that I ended up doing. Obviously, you know, my career was cut short, you know, due to the incarceration, you know, but I made my mark. Okay. And she helped me get into perspective what I was there for. I wasn't there to just be driving the Rover and to be, you know, wearing the iceberg and the you know, Coogee sweaters and Moschino and whatever was Versace and all those things back in those days, and just being fly and just, you know, spending money in Mr. Childs and you know, living that life. I was there to make great records. I was there to have my impact on the world, you know, through music. And I wanted to show her. I wanted to show everybody. And she really helped me through those very brutal words to get focused. And I was like, okay, that's it.